Hello and welcome to Derby County Women in Focus. Coming up, we'll reflect on the opening weeks of the season for the U's. We'll talk to new skipper Amy Sims about how she's embracing life with the armband. And we'll talk to new signing Charlotte Steggles about swapping a red shirt for a black and white one this summer. And it's a good time to talk to both Amy and Charlotte after they both scored in Derby's first win of the season at the weekend. It was a big one too, 7-1 over Stourbridge, the final score. The hosts actually took the lead and were still ahead going into the second half. This, remember, against a Derby team that had lost their opening 3 games of the campaign. But it was a very different story after the break. Steggles got the equaliser not long after the restart. Maria Timms and then the captain Sims bagged a couple of quick goals to put Derby in charge. More goals followed with Sims on target again and Eleanor Ashton scoring twice. Amelia Wilson on target as well. So the season is up and running for the U's and Amy Sims has opened her league account for the campaign as well. Last season's top scorer is now Derby's captain as well. We've been talking to her about that and all things Derby County Women. So a few weeks into the season, we'll talk about results and performances so far, but how's the armband feeling for you? How's it all going?
Yeah, I feel like it's going really well. I think it helps having other leaders on the pitch. Probably within each unit we've got some real leaders, so I think that helps when you're on the pitch and off the pitch as well. They've all kind of chipped in with little bits. But yeah, I feel like I've really enjoyed it, took well to the role and just want to kind of be that person that links, Sam, the manager, to the team. And I feel like I've really grown into that and I feel like the team can come to me if they need anything.
I know it wasn't totally new for you. You wore the armband last year, vice captain as well. But for it to be permanent and more formal, I suppose, has anything changed with your relationship with either the players or with the manager at all?
I guess a little bit. Like you say, it was probably a bit less formal last year. But I think it's kind of, like Sam's always said, don't try and overthink it. Don't let it change too much. So not massively changed a great deal.
Has captaincy always been in your character, sort of growing up playing the game? Have you always been that sort of person?
I think it's a mixture, really. I think probably from when I first started and joined Derby in my first season as an 18-year-old, I was probably one of the quietest people, but probably one of those players that you always saw led by example. And I definitely think I am one of those captains that, I'll put in the first big tackle or Sims is going on a ridiculous run, right? We all need to up our game. So I'm probably one of more of those characters. But yeah, I think I've always been a people person, always wanted to get to know all the teammates. So I feel like it's probably always been something ingrained in me. And as a kid, I used to be captain at a younger age group as well. So something that I've always enjoyed doing.
So definitely a doer, but a talker as well. I mean, are you comfortable sort of doing the geeing up and that side of it?
I think that's something that I've probably had to learn and grow into a lot more. I think as you get older, you're kind of just thrown into it and you just do it. But yeah, that's probably something that I've had to learn a lot more. But yeah, I feel comfortable talking to all the girls now, so.
And the captaincy brings a little bit more responsibility and a little more scrutiny, particularly when you're maybe not getting the results that you want. Did you feel like that first few games of the season?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's important to have that pressure. We set high standards ourselves, and myself as a player and the captain, we've got to have those high standards, especially when we're not achieving what we want to be achieving and what we set out from the start of the season. So yeah, I definitely feel more pressure, but I think it has to come with the job role.
They were close defeats. Was it a case of not getting what you felt performances deserved in those opening few games or not?
I think it was a real mixture, to be honest. I think the Wolves game, we were pretty happy with our performance. And then the West Brom game, perhaps there was a little bit missing from our performance. Probably the same with the Liverpool Feds game. They kind of got goals in moments that then turned the momentum. So I think it definitely wasn't, the wheels have fell off, because we were still putting in the performances and playing the way that we wanted to play. And then luckily it just kind of all fell into place the second half, last game on Sunday.
Yeah, let me ask about half-time against Stourbridge. Did you say anything, or did you leave it to the manager to tell you what was what?
Sam did most of the talking, and then it was a real mixture of kind of players contributing here and there. But it was kind of just down to like, look, this is probably going to be one of the most important 45 minutes of our season to date, because, you know, we'd lost the first 2 opening games, so we knew that it was going to be a massive 3 points and we had to turn it around, and then just came out and got 7 goals, so couldn't have asked more from the girls, really.
Yeah, have you ever known a half of football like that?
No, completely 2 separate halves of football. It was crazy.
And for you, off the mark in the league now, top scorer last season as well, with the captaincy as well now, are you sort of still looking at individual targets and ambitions like that, or does your focus have to sort of be split a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's a mixture. You know, the first couple of games I was slotting back in at right back, my old position, just because of injuries and other things. So it was nice to be back in the midfield this week and getting in on the goals again. But I think it's a real mixture. I think, you know, from last year, getting that top goal scorer, it's always something you want to go and emulate again. But I think this season it's been about the team, and, you know, I want to win trophies with the team now, not just individual ones. So I think it's split this season, a real mixture of both.
And does it feel like a team now? Because there have been plenty of new faces. Has everyone settled in all right?
Yeah, I think that kind of came from the beginning. There's always been a massive togetherness, and that's something that we've always prided ourselves with playing for Derby, that we've always seemed to bring players in and they've seemed to slot in straight away. So yeah, it's definitely, we've built as a team really well. Has
there been specific sort of team bonding, or has it just come on the training pitch naturally?
I think a mixture of both. We had a nice trip out to Carsington Water on Saturday, did a bit of raft building. Some players were a lot better than others. Some players were better on land than in water. But yeah, I think as together socially on the pitch and off the pitch, I think it's something we've really tried to bond, a mixture of both, and it's really working.
That's Derby skipper Amy Sims. Her side are 4 games into the season now. It was a tricky start. That opening day defeat to Wolves, followed by losing to West Brom in the League Cup, and then a 3-2 reverse at Liverpool Feds in the league. But the U's have some points on the board now after that win over Stourbridge. A big boost for the goal difference too. More points certainly possible over the next few weeks as well. Newcastle and Stoke are the next visitors to the Don Amott Arena, with trips to Huddersfield, Nottingham Forest and West Brom all coming up. Derby will also go to Doncaster Rovers Bells on Sunday the 1st of October in the first round of the National League Plate. Lots to come then, including that trip to the City Ground on Sunday the 8th of October. Derby Forest is always a massive occasion, but this one will be even bigger for Derby midfielder Charlotte Steggles after she left Forest to join the U's this summer. Look, I know you were asked about it when you arrived, but it's sort of impossible to get away from the Forest thing, especially with the game coming up in a few weeks' time. I know you said your granddad will be happier than anyone that you're now a Derby player, but in terms of making the switch from one to the other, I mean, was there any apprehension from your point of view about doing that, or any second thoughts, or maybe I shouldn't pick Derby just because of, you know, the connotations of it all?
Yeah, I think as soon as I spoke with Sam and the staff, I think all of that disappeared. And the reasonings for leaving Forest, you know, I followed my gut and followed my own instinct, and yeah, I'm really happy to be here, and everyone's been so welcoming. So no, there's definitely no regrets.
I know it's a family of Forest fans for you for the most part. I suppose, what was their reaction first and foremost?
My mum was just so supportive and was like, just do what makes you happy. My dad and my brother, they keep making jokes and still making jokes today about it. But no, I think at the end of the day, they just want to see me happy and enjoying my football.
Do they understand, because I think sometimes supporters maybe don't, that when you are a player, emotions and fandom, it has to change, doesn't it? Because this is your career.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, you know, we all put so much time and effort into what we do. So when I come here to Derby, everything else goes out the window, and I'm here to play for the badge and here to play for the girls. So at the end of the day, that's what I'm here for, and that's the job, and everything else comes second to that.
What did Sam, the manager, say? How did she sell the club to you?
I think it was almost just a people's club, and that's kind of what I'm about. It's all about the people and the players, and we weren't just a stat on a piece of paper. You know, we were actually people, and she was looking after us as women and our needs and everything else like that. So for us, it was that kind of just settled me straight away, and it was something I really wanted to look forward to and wanted to buy into.
You've done a bit of a tour of the East Midlands, played for Leicester, played for Notts as well. I don't think there's many players in either the men's or the women's game that have done that. But just generally on sort of the area as maybe a hotbed for women's football, is that a fair description of it? Yeah,
I think definitely growing up through the youth setup, I think the East Midlands was really, really strong. It was a strong area that continues, I think, to grow year on year. I know specifically like the Nottinghamshire League, I think it's the biggest girls and women's league in the country, and that's continuously growing. And I think the same probably for the Derby and Leicester League. So I think with obviously Leicester going into the WSL and working hard in there and sort of cementing their place there, I think it's great for everyone else around that to build on their success as well.
A couple of weeks into your Derby career, how would you assess things so far, personally and for the team?
Yeah, I think personally, I don't think my performances have quite been where I wanted them to be. But again, I think it's coming into a new team, new setup, new formation, and it's trying to work with the girls and with Sam and make sure that I can kind of really hit the ground running over the next couple of games. But as a team, I think the performances, we've had good performances. The results haven't quite matched what we wanted. But I think, again, there's a lot for us to work with. And I think there's been really good bits within those performances that I know we can take on and we can take into the rest of the season.
I know I've asked about Forest a lot already, but that game at the City Ground is coming up. Is that one, to use the cliche, that you've had marked on the calendar for a while?
I think personally, yes, it's something obviously you look forward to, and it's playing at the City Ground, and same for when you play at Pride Park. It's great for those occasions, but we've had quite a tough few games at the start of this season, so I think we've just been taking each game as it comes, and that's what we've got to focus on. I don't think we can look too far ahead. We've just got to make sure that we focus on the next game on the next Sunday and prepare for it as well as we can.
Is it a rivalry, do you think? Because obviously everyone knows in the men's game and sort of just assumes, but is it the same?
Yeah, I think probably in each club, there might be slightly different rivalries with different other teams that probably don't see emulated in the men's game. But again, yeah, of course, it's a big rivalry, and it's one of the games that we all get to play at our main stadiums. So it's obviously brings with it, and the fan base comes, and we usually get about 5,000 people down to those games. So it's good all round for the women's game.
That's Derby midfielder Charlotte Steggles, and that's all from this episode of Derby County Women in Focus. For more information and for tickets, go to the website dcfc.co.uk. Until next time, goodbye.